I have to say good morning to Professor Brer and happy Earth Day. Welcome in a new episode of CIB OnAir. This episode is dedicated to the Earth Day, and thanks everyone who's watching online. This year we decided to celebrate this special day, exchanging view on biogas and biomethane role within this uncertain geopolitical scenario, with a special guest, Professor Mark Brown, Chair of IEA Bioenergy. So thanks again, Professor Brown, to join our CIB OnAir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start saying that the aim of this Earth Day is to push to switch renewable energy to power our homes, business, and vehicles. Investing in innovative solutions to provide more sustainable materials compared to fossil fuel. In fact, the claim of this Earth Day is our power, our planet. As a farmer, because Professor, I'm a farmer and I'm a biogas and biomethane producer, I truly think that bioenergy producer already contribute in many ways to this aim. Let me say that also our association, CIB, the Italian Consortium of Biogas Producer, decided to actively participate to the working group 37 of IEA. This group covered the AD technology, addressing the whole biogas production chain, from feedstock to biogas upgrading, biofertilizing application, and process sustainability. A part of this working group, we had the chance to share our biogas direct model with see the anaerobic digestion as a booster of the agroecological transition with IEA. As you probably know, the model offers a new vision of the food production system, integrating with renewable energy production. This model, developed from farmers, mainly from farmers, has enabled the growth of agricultural biogas in Italy, which today count more than 1,800 existing plants. So, in light of this backdrop, we think the Earth Day could be a good chance to discuss about geopolitical impact of this technology in a more broad vision. So, just start with the first question, so we can start discussing. And I would like to start straight from the biogas direct model. We have the chance to discuss also with the IEA working group in Italy back to 2023. The vision of this model is tackle more emission reduction instead of the reduction of production. We always say that we have to fight emission, not fight production. We believe that for a certain time, especially in Europe, we had this idea that to be more sustainable, we have to produce less. This is actually what we don't think is gonna be, has to happen. And so I want to share with you your opinion about this, because we know that IEA is always is very proactive, is very into the reduction emissions, especially in agriculture. So let's say if you think, as we are working on, that agriculture can be part of the solution and not only part of the problem of the emission in our planet.
Thanks, Piero. Look, I grew up in a farming community in Eastern Canada. I'm now located in Australia and have worked globally. So it's always, I take a great deal in pride when I get the opportunity to kind of work and speak at that farmer and property owning level. And the reality is that they're fundamental to whatever this solution is moving forward. And we talk about global challenges and transition to net zero 2050. And at the end of the day, it all is going to lean back on those people that manage and deliver the important things like food, fiber, energy to our world. And what we're seeing across a number of sectors, including the biogas sector, is integration is key. It's not one or the other, it's an optimization across. And when we get those settings right, the optimization means not less farm production, but often more and more efficient farm production, as well as an energy solution that can be quite valuable both in the local community and actually addressing the global challenge. If I take examples outside of biogas to kind of start from, if we look at the forest sector in Scandinavia, they've been very proactive about how they integrate paper and wood product production with energy production, to the point that a number of paper companies have repositioned themselves as energy companies that produce paper. If we look, if I come to the home country where I live now in Australia, we're looking quite closely at meat production and land management strategies for meat production, and how we can also integrate carbon sequestration and timber production into those landscapes. And what we're finding in the early research is that it's not a compromise between how many trees and how many cows. The trees actually enhance the land management so that we can actually have more cows on the same patch of land than what we had without the trees. So if we bring that back to your biogas done right strategy, which clearly has strong alignment to our Task 37 work, it is really about that broader integration, and not one or the other, but how one complements the other. And the use of the byproduct of the biogas process as soil enhancement and carbon sequestration strategies and land management gives us those 1 + 1 = 3 opportunities that, you know, the good farmers out there are actually taking strong advantage of it and building a more resilient farming strategy and more resilient farming opportunity in a number of regions around the world.
Thank you. That's very true. On my point of view, having some time to dialogue with institution, I sometimes think that also the industries probably hasn't already understood that the bioenergy system is not just changing the products that we produce; it's completely changing the model of the model of production, along all the supply chain. That's why probably farmers are so in this this system, because obviously, if you are looking to a decentralized production, if you are looking to a production in which you need to produce more carbon, or biogenic carbon from the same quantity of land, which is our goal for the future, that is something that we need to work together with scientists and with institutions as obviously IEA and government to push this transition, which if we see now many documents coming out, for example, in the EU, but all around the world, after the geopolitical crisis, it's just transition is not just seen like ecological, but it's also important for the energy supply security. So it's something that is changing a little bit on what we are talking about. So my question is, what do you think? Do you think that this model, the bioenergy model, can fit? How can be fit in the mix, energy mix, obviously, but also how is going to be fit also in the changing the, for example, the materials, the biomaterials that we have to produce?
Yeah, so I mean, we're all being impacted by the current geopolitical fallout, as you will, as politicians play the games they play on the global stage. But I think something that's helping bring to the forefront, particularly for bioenergy, is the importance of it being a local solution, meeting a local industrial need or opportunity. So any of our bioenergy solutions, including biogas in particular, are driven by local supply. They're best used in the local context to support local economic development. So in a world where we're faced with US tariffs and some of the issues that come with that on the global economy, the ability to provide stability around local regions and communities through things like bioenergy and biogas is quite powerful. And in many cases, particularly with biogas, the technology is well established and has been delivering energy for, in some cases, decades. So we're not embarking into new and ununderstood territory. We're engaging with known technology. And the trick now is to really be more clever about how it does integrate with farm management, land management, food production, local industry, opportunities to have stable energy costs at a local level that contribute to local businesses and local communities. So again, the other element of renewables is not all renewables are created equal, and not all renewables can be deployed on demand. So wind and solar are great. And I mean, coming from a sunny country with lots of land like Australia, wind and solar are very successful renewable energy solutions, but they're not storable, they're not deployable. And these are things that bioenergy more broadly and biogas specifically bring to the table. We can store this, we can deploy it when the energy is needed, we can fill gaps in other energy supply, we can create drop-in solutions for hard-to-abate solutions. And this is where the power comes into play. The ability to contribute to an overall energy solution where industry can have reliable, resilient energy supply is absolutely critical to any economic growth, any industrial growth, all of which leverages off the farm and the food production and the fiber production, which are also critical feed or inputs into those economies. So you kind of look at what you guys have presented, particularly with the biogas done right model, it looks at that from that multifaceted perspective, and it looks at the integration opportunities. And going one step further, it tries to understand how both the farming industry and the energy component of that fits into the circular economy. So, the idea of delivering services and keeping materials in the supply chain and producing value for longer or as long as possible. So eliminating waste, which is absolutely important. Now, and the other piece of that, and taking more of a global perspective like we do at IEA Bioenergy with 23, 24 countries in our membership, that the other really interesting thing, particularly with biogas in the suite of bioenergy solutions we look at, is it is really scalable and it's realistic to have it grow. Not so much that you, as a global solution, but a regional solution that done right at each region creates a global solution. And what's important there is that by 2030, we're looking to produce about 10% of the EU gas imports from Russia. And obviously with the geopolitical challenges out of Russia now, that is probably more important than it was when those goals were set. So you can really see that concept of doing it right at a local region, integrating it effectively with local farming, local industry, local communities. While all of that is about the local focus, if you do that on every local level, you deliver a global solution. And you do it in a very sustainable way that engages with the concepts of circular economy that often are challenging for big industry, because they don't have the touch points and the investment and the connection with that local community and local opportunity.
Thank you. This one thing I do really appreciate in what you were saying is that first of all, there's no one solution. Okay, you say that this we always listen about the people talking about neutrality, in the technology, but then you see sometimes that this is not coming also is being very considered. We believe that we have a very high goal, and coming back on the day we are, we are the Earth Day. We have a goal which is massive. It's very important for the new generation. So I think we have to do the best in what we have. And for us, in the last 15, 20 years, we found it that working with the agro industry and the gas industry, we can also build an infrastructure which is essential to meet net zero goal, because mitigation, adaptation, and sequestration, because as you said, there are renewable energy, which is perfectly fine, but the bioenergy has got one more task, can deal with the soil health. And this is my other question. We always try to put we have to strain the fact that with our anaerobic digestion in our farms, we are not producing just energy. We are producing also digestate, and the digestate go back to the soil as an organic fertilizer. And that is very important. I can see myself without an anaerobic digestion, obviously, because I'm producing also for another market, which is the energy market, but basically because I couldn't see my farm without the organic fertilizer, which means less chemical fertilizer, which means again be more resilient in our core production, which still is the food production. So what do you think? Do you think this is going to be, how can we stress this fact in the communication to make people understand that it's not just energy, something more?
Yeah, look, it's a challenging one, and I've played an active role in the communication side of IEA Bioenergy over the last 5 years as well, and it's one of the challenges of communicating what is a relatively complex message into a society that likes simple messages. And the reality is that the opportunities that you've just described are fundamental to feeding the planet. They're fundamental to keeping the lights on. They're fundamental to keeping soil that can grow products. It's just everything is so interdependent. And there's no one better than a farmer to understand that, because they live and breathe it every day. They don't have to watch the news or read the technical reports to know that the issues of climate change are real, that they live and breathe it every day as they navigate the management of their farms through that. And I guess it's exciting when you can develop a solution like biogas, where it's very much a 1 + 1 = 3, and there's it's a term we like to use, but it's not something that you can find every day. It's usually a 1 + 1 = 1.5 is what we get out of different industrial solutions. So the idea that we can produce meat and food and other things on the farm, and then the waste from that production system then is generating a very viable and valuable energy solution. And then the waste or the outcome from that process is producing a very valuable and important fertilizer that then contributes to restart the cycle. That is circular economy at its best. So it's kind of very critical. Now, how we convey that, I mean, we've had periods of time where things like organic farming are high profile. Renewable energy is high profile. There's different times and periods where different portions of that message have really had traction in the community. And I guess that the challenge for us now is to how to consolidate what is a very complex circular arrangement to a very succinct and simple message that has cut through, particularly in the cities of our different regions. As the population moves away from the farm, they have less of a direct understanding and a touch point. So those nuances and complexities take away from the core message that this is energy, food, and healthy land. And all of this is contributing to a very healthy regional economy. And, these regional economies are the powerhouses of the future, because we have to feed the planet, we have to keep the lights on the planet, and we have to maintain a healthy soil to do all of that. So that circle is quite valuable in delivering on that. How you put that into a Twitter bite or a
Yeah,
really
that is
nice social media post is the
that's
challenge that
very
we all face.
Yeah, thanks for this, Professor Brown. Just the last question. Um, from your point of view, which are the obstacle, which are the bottleneck you see to develop this model that you said, is like a local model you have to develop worldwide. So do you see that there are some obstacles, that bottleneck? How can we work to push this model worldwide?
Look, you hit on it with that earlier comment about how do we communicate, how do we get buy-in. I don't think we face any, like, obviously we can always technically improve how we do anything. And again, you don't have to look past the farmer to learn that that's how farming works. But I don't think we're really limited, or our biggest bottleneck or obstacle is not the technical, but more so the regulatory and policy world. And that will come back to how we effectively communicate the positives, the strengths, the benefits around it. And and this is true beyond biogas, but for any transition energy, any net zero setting, it often gets complex and complicated in the policy and legislation that are put in place to try and drive it, because it's sometimes not well informed. It sometimes has unintended consequences. It sometimes adds complexity to what is already a highly complex solution space. I think looking at more detail in that, it's absolutely critical that we look at agriculture and energy in an integrated way. It's not one or the other or either or, it's a combined solution. And in many cases, governments around the world separate the world into a minister of energy and a minister of agriculture. And this creates silos and complications in communications, and often contradictory policy settings that are well intended, but don't recognize the role or the importance of the other side of the silo. So getting clear communications and clear integration across that interface of agriculture and energy will be quite important. Carbon and carbon sequestration are absolutely critical in the overall business model. And how that is documented and understood is going to be increasingly important, but also how the markets develop to recognize that value. So, much of this work is actually capturing and storing more carbon than a farming system that's not using biogas, and making sure that that value, as it contributes to climate change management, carbon sequestration, getting carbon market values is going to be quite critical to this moving forward. And again, that falls back on an integrated approach to agricultural and energy management. Access to funding. So we've touched on it a few times. This is a regional solution, often at a small to medium scale from an industrial point of view, but it will deliver a global solution at scale. And it becomes challenging potentially for individual farmers to convince their local banks or loaning agencies to allow them to get the infrastructure in place. So whether that's plays out in other support mechanisms to develop, you talked about infrastructure across the region. So getting that infrastructure, importantly, access to investment and strategies that, one, recognize the value that comes with that, but supports the farmer to make the transition and more effectively do that integration of farming, energy, and land management. And then I'd be remiss, being here today on behalf of a 24-country collaboration, the importance of global knowledge transfer and exchange, and bringing the best and brightest together to share ideas and develop solutions that can be shared with our colleagues and partners around the world. So that high-level global collaboration, whether you do it nationally within your country, and I've had the pleasure of doing quite a bit of work in Italy with the forest sector. But whether it's Italy, EU, or at a global level, sharing information, benefiting from others' experience in how they achieve positive outcomes is going to be quite important to getting us to where we want to be.
And this is exactly why we are so proud and honored to have you here. Thank you very much for your thought, exchanging view, exchanging experiences. Try to talk about the good solution is always important. At the end of the day, the two big silos that we don't have to keep in silos are ecology and economy, and that is something that I don't understand, because both goes on the same value, that is to use the research in efficiency way. So that doesn't have to be in competition, but they have to go together. Yes, we will work together to all these bottleneck that we see, the regulatory, the research, the financing, and everything you said. But I'm pretty sure that if we are keep working together, starting also from this Earth Day, we will make a big model to produce energy and food and biometals, because this is not just feasible, but is also necessary for our health. So thank you very much, Professor Brown, to being with us. It's been a pleasure, and hope to see you quite soon in Italy. So we invite you in Italy. So you can have also some Parmigiano Reggiano that we produce, because we don't produce just energy, but also cheese,
Yes.
milk.
I have plans to be in Italy at the end of October. I have a friend in the south of Italy who has a chestnut farm. We'll be joining him for the chestnut harvest on the farm.
Okay, so we will meet together when you will come in Italy. Very
brilliant.
Thank
I
you
look
very
forward
much, and happy Earth Day to you and to everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.